I don't know what the recording is gonna be. Can it pick us up? The other one was a microphone. I guess it's gonna be the same.
It should be 100%.
So this is we're gonna do a series of conversations with you and I, you know, whatever, just raw, you know, unedited, other than getting sounds at the background. So this was gonna be so.
What's the topic?
Well, ain't no topic. We can do this. This is raising. So this is my son, DeMarco Ousley, my first child. Been with him. What you going on? You be 38 this year.
37 to 38 in December. It's the top of the year right now, so I still got a whole year before I turn another year.
Okay, you be 38 this year.
In December.
Man, 38. I remember your mama said she was pregnant with you. Woo! Look, I started crying. I ran away from home. This is true. I ran away from home because I didn't want to tell my mama that. So there was a Della Reese before you. You know that. I had a daughter before you, but we didn't know nothing about this daughter. So I met this daughter the day she was born, right?
Yeah.
And so that was 9 months. You just 6 months. Della Reese is 6 months older than you. Yeah, 6 months. Yeah, y'all was 6 months apart. So I don't know nothing about Della Reese when your mom is pregnant. You know, by the time Della Reese is born, you know, your mama been 6 months pregnant or whatever, 3 months pregnant or whatever the case. But anyway, so I run away from home. I didn't run away from home. I called my father, Junebug. I don't move in with you. I just made up a reason to move in with him. And so he's like, man, what's this all about? He come get me and shit. I got into him, I don't want to stay with you no more. So Junebug come get me. You know, what's all this about? I'm crying. So I got somebody pregnant. He like, nigga, get out of my car. Yeah. But anyway, I stayed with him about a week and he brought me on back because it wasn't nothing serious. He said, man, just tell your mom, man, I'm tell your mom. I told my mom. And bro, here we go. Shit. I'm 17 years old, have a baby December the 6th. I had to child 1985. So you know I knew your whole birthday, did you? And anyway, so we need all y'all here. We need to have everybody here have a conversation about y'all growing up Ousley. You know, I know it was man, I know that had to be difficult. Trey, I just read something. I sent it to you. Where Trey posted something. Did you get that?
Little cousin Trey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About
I didn't see what you sent, but what?
Now he had something where we were raised. He said we was raised to be killer pit bulls.
Me and Trey talked about that one morning. He called me. He was like, me and Junju made a group called Trey them because they came behind us. Well, we thought y'all was softer. You know what I'm saying? So we used to call Trey, you know, that age group was like, man, y'all suck, y'all soft. Cause y'all was really, y'all trained us to attack, even though it was geared for sports. But that was our mindset. You know what I'm saying? We was trained to attack, and I believe it's affecting us as we adults. Trey, me, other people talk about that. If you think about it, Trey brought up in his age group, our little cousins, or he brought up the wrestlers, little Kiwan and Cadron and Jeremy, all them. You know, there's a lot of gangsters. You know what I'm saying? Lots of, you know, and it just wasn't a balance. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Trey, we was killing pit bulls. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it affects us. And
it was all of, so you always explain to you that, because you know we had our conversation about you had a what'd you tell me? You couldn't wait till you got grown. You got grown so you can get out. So you can get out one.
So we can box.
Yeah.
So I was looking forward to like about 21, 22. Well, I said the other day, I said, shit, I'm looking about 21, 22. I was like, okay, we're gonna box then. hell, you get locked up, and so now I'm feeling sorry for you. It was an emotional whirlwind, man. It was because those were some tough years. You know what I'm saying? Those were some real mentally tough years. But as people tell me all the time, man, it's some say I wouldn't be who I am today. You know what I mean? So, you know, my partner Lee said he was talking about another guy who was soft or whatever. He was like, "Would you want to be like this nigga, or would you want to be have been through all that shit and be who you are?" He said, "Cause you can't have both."
Right.
You know, and I'm like, you know, I don't know. I think that balance, I think that level of discipline and all that, because I do have a dog work ethic. I do have a lot of positive. However, it's mental. It's initially mental. It's mentally turmoil. You know what I mean? It ain't good mentally. And how to balance it, I don't know. I don't have an answer. You know what I'm saying? I don't have an answer.
You know, I always say this. You know, we got if you can go back in time. If I can go back in time, what would I change? And I tell you, 1,000 conversations. I don't know if I would change anything because I wouldn't want to risk knowing what I know now. Because you told me one time, you told me that you didn't think I loved you, which I thought was crazy. But you know, put myself in your shoes. Okay, I can probably see that. But knowing even that, I wouldn't go back and change anything because what I always tell you, you're gonna be an adult longer than you were my adolescent child.
Right.
So that part of your life, even though that part of your life, that part of people's life tend to have the longest effect on because of the scars and all that shit. You know, so that's why I say one of my daughters said something, and I said go to counseling. Well, no, somebody posted something about the parents. Cause apparently, this is on. It ain't just me. You know what I'm saying? A lot of parents, a lot of children, because what it is was
Have an issue with their parents.
right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because
Did you have an issue when you was growing up? Did you how did that?
I didn't have an issue with my mother. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have an issue with my mom because I knew. I mean, when I was a kid, of course, I was like, "This lady mean," but we don't look at all the other stuff. We don't look at, you know, that she'll do anything in the world. She'll move heaven and hell for me. And we knew that. I knew that my mother would move. Man, my mother would jump jump over a building to fuck a motherfucker up that's trying to get at me. I witnessed that. I witnessed my mother. I'm a kid. I witnessed my mother about to jump on another kid to defend me. And I'm like, I'm cool with that. I feel like I can whip the nigga. But if you want to fight him, but he looked bigger. So I was raised, just like y'all said y'all was raised as killer pits. My mother raised me as a killer pit. See, a man that had nothing to do with how I was. I remember Keenan White. We lived in Morningstar. We had to be like in the first or second grade.
Yeah.
So, 6 or 7 years old, right? I grew up with my grandmother. My mother was in college. My mother had me at 17. So I stayed in a protective area, right? I grew up my whole life on Seminole, Greenwood and Seminole. My whole life. Kevin Payton, my best friend, cousin. So that was my world. So they took me out of my world and put me in Morningstar world. At the time, Morningstar was new, fairly new. So it wasn't a bad thing, but it was a low income situation. So a lot of single women, you know. You take me out of that, you put me in an unfamiliar territory. Now I'm on Seminole, I'm Mean Joe Green. I'm bad as make, you know, Shank and Mark. I'd fight the whole from Greenwood to Cincinnati. Everybody in between had no problem with it. In that area, I knew that area, but you put me in a different area, an area. So now, you know, I don't know. Keenan White ran me in the house. I hit them steps. Oh, if you ever been to Morningstar, you never been to Morningstar. So, you know, the apartments, and they looking down onto they 2 stories and whatever, and they looking down the living room window. Everybody's living room windows in the front. So you look across and see everybody's window, right? So I'm gonna call it the courtyard. He run me in the house. I get in the house, soon open the door, my mama's standing right there. Cause she in the living room, she in whatever room, but she met me in the front door. She seen everything take place. Told me, if I don't go down there and fight him, she's gonna kick my ass. So I went down there, crying. Walked down there. He down there, humming high, talking shit. First, second grade, I beat the shit out of King White. This is my mother.
Yeah.
Sending her first grader, into a fight. You know what I'm saying? And shit. Wasn't no, don't fight. Fighting is bad. Get your ass out there. And see, my mother wanted to put me in wrestling, boxing, football. My mother did that. I didn't have a man do any of that. My mother did all that. Even though my mother was married from the age, since I was, 8, 9, 10. Now, my mother was married twice in my lifetime. Once to Junebug Ousley. They got a quick divorce because he was no longer around immediately. Hell, I don't even remember getting married. I see pictures, so I know I was there. And then past that, he went to penitentiary. Then he was gone. A few years later, she dated, married, and my stepfather, Carlo John, who I don't know, they stayed together until my mother passed away. She passed away when I was 49, so they were together 40 years. That's what I got against marriage. They didn't look happy to me. I mean, sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. But anyway, so that was the lady that raised me, to get me. Now, you asked me, how did I feel about my mother? I mean, how did I feel about?
Well, what I'm saying is, did you have any? Okay, so it was like scared. As the community can tell you, they got these stories of, I remember they did, I remember this, I remember this. Everywhere I go, all the time, they got their own memory of, and that drives home the thought, right? You can grow up,
right.
You grow up and not constantly be reminded of something, and the thought will go away. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Eventually, right? But if everywhere you go, you know what I'm saying, and they don't mean no harm by no means.
Right.
They literally just saying, man, I remember this time your day hit you, you did a backflip, you know what I'm saying? Right. And I'm thinking, they don't know how I felt. Yeah. They don't have a perspective of how I was feeling during those times. They just remember a time, and yeah, it might have been 10 years ago or however many years ago, but they remember that. And then this person, I go over here, this person say something. I remember one of your partners, I'm in the club, and I'm in the club. He ain't really seen me in the club much, you know what I'm saying? So he sees me, he walks up, he said, man, I try to stop him sometimes.
Nah.
And you know what I'm saying? I'm in the club having a drink, mama, you know what I'm saying? I'm a dog. And he's talking about something that he remembered when he saw me. That's what he remembered. So much to come and talk and say that to me.
Right.
Not, man, you getting big, not.
Right.
The first thing he said to me, I tried to stop him sometime. You know what I'm saying?
So, and we were kids, right? I'm not defending it or nothing like that. You said it to me, the axe don't remember the tree. I love that motherfucking quote. I'm looking at you like, what the fuck is this nigga talking about? The axe don't remember the tree. But the axe don't remember the motherfucking tree. I don't remember being that rough on you. I don't remember being that like that. See what I'm saying? Because my intentions were, I don't like this nigga, it wasn't none of that.
Sure.
Mine was, nigga, you gonna overcome, I tell you, you already know. I didn't allow for you to fear anything. Nigga, I didn't want you to have any phobias. I didn't want you to have any weaknesses. I didn't want none of that shit. You know what I'm saying? So how I was gonna get it out of you, I found the fear in you. So this is how I taught him my class.
Swimming. I knew that shit was coming. I knew that was the next thing. Stop.
So this is how I taught him how to swim. You heard her. So y'all probably thinking, I nigga just threw him in the swimming pool. That's how you teach him how to swim. Now, I went to the next level.
He took it too fucking far.
Right. Not to me.
This is one of those moments I'm remembering this.
Right. So the Baby Center has at the time, it had to be outlawed because the diving board is not there anymore. Well, they had a diving board that was 1,000,000 feet up in the damn sky, right? And He don't know how to swim. But nigga, you gonna climb.
How old am I?
I don't know, you look kid. You know.
6, maybe 7.
But I'm gonna say this, right? It ain't funny.
Mind you, kids ain't even supposed to be on the diving board, or he probably in the damn pool by themselves at all. Okay, so keep going.
So he climbed up. So they have 2 level diving board. They have the regular level diving board. Or they can just jump off the side, or they can go in the shallow end and learn how to swim. So we bypass the shallow end. We bypass jumping off the side of the swimming pool. We bypass jumping off the little bitty diving board, and we go to the higher diving board. So 2 things.
I don't know how to swim.
Right, but I was defeating 2 things. He was afraid of heights. But guess who else was afraid of heights? I was. And I was afraid of heights when I was little. You know what I'm saying? And I do myself the same way. He'll tell you, I attack my fears. I do it over and over again until I'm no longer afraid of it. But I didn't get that mentality till I was an adult, right? And everything I do as an adult, everything I learned. So DeMarco is my son, but he's like my little brother, you know, because shit, I was 17 when I had him. So he grew up with me. So as I was learning things, I was passing on to him. So he got a lot of knowledge from a nigga 17-year-old older than him, right? So I went to the military. Military didn't give 2 fucks about you being afraid of anything, because you're here to defend America, your freedom, right? So, and if you had in basic training, you went through all of anything that you were afraid of and didn't know because you don't know what you're afraid of until you're going through some shit. But I always knew I was afraid of heights, but not really, because we stand on the house and turn flips. So anything you can jump off of, like I can turn a flip off of, I wasn't afraid of. But anything beyond that, I'm afraid of heights. So that's how I approached DeMarco with fears. He was afraid of heights. Now we're gonna kill that right now. Jump up to the highest diving board and jump. He's shaking. He ain't jumping. He's shaking, and the diving board is just vibrating so motherfucking fast. It's just going up and down by itself. I'm like, now he didn't know this, but I'm afraid for him. You know what I'm saying? But he had, just like my mother. My mother wasn't throwing me into danger, but I had to do it. Damon Jr., my youngest son, he got into a fight. Little boy ran into the house. So I had the same thought, man. I said, I'm sitting there talking to him. I know how he felt. So I didn't know how DeMarco felt going up a diving board. I've never climbed up that same diving board and jumped off it, and will not. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you another story. But so Damon Jr. just ran in the house. I'm like, fuck. I'm talking to Junior. DeMarco, I was like, nigga, get your ass out there. I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you. Bye bye. Now Damon Jr. and DeMarco, what y'all 13 years apart?
Yeah.
So now I'm talking to Damon Jr. like this, man. You gotta go outside, man. You gotta do it, man. You gotta go fight. You can't let nobody run in your house. That's how I'm talking to Damon Jr. But Damon Jr. father was 30 years older than him, where DeMarco's father was 17 years older than him. So they had 2 different fathers. Same vessel, 2 different mindsets. And I couldn't watch Damon Jr. go get in a fight, but I sent bodyguards with him. Sent his 2 sisters and his cousin. Don't let nothing happen to this nigga. Don't let him get whooped. Dude start whooping him. You know, I couldn't watch. That's how I was with my son that I had at 30. First my son I had at 17. Nigga, I used to take that motherfucker to places to get beat up. Yeah, shit. I see a little boy, this is a true story. Prentice Elliott, y'all might remember him. Prentice Elliott, me and his pops, Big Prentice, was partners. Prentice grew up in a situation where he had a situation. Projects, you know, boo. But he was a little rough little dude. So Prentice had the whole projects, all the gangsters, all the grown men fucking with him, right? So I'm looking at Prentice like, shit. I'm gonna bring my son over here to fight this nigga. Like Pitts. Big Prentice and me. So I take my son over there. So I'm like, DeMarco can fight because he's trained. You know, he got all this wrestling and the boxing and you know all that. We work, you know, I make him box, don't have to throw a punch his whole life. So I'm like, okay. Again, my situation running from Keaton White.
But these niggas is, I was always sheltered. I was just with you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't play in the world. You know what I'm saying? So
my same situation in my grandmother's house coming to Morningstar.
You have a different a different. I mean, know how, but it's the confidence. What Prentice has
Right.
over any fucking body,
Right.
confidence. I don't know what he's doing. He just got confidence.
So I was gonna steal that, and I was gonna put my son in the same situation, right? So the difference was, my story was this: I was the guy in Vernon Manor. I was a dope dealing guy. His daddy was not. So he was the prince. You know what I'm saying? DeMarco was the prince, because I'm the king, right? I'm the motherfucker bringing the drugs to Vernon Manor. And Prentice wasn't. You know, they lived in Vernon Manor. So I wanted my son to get that rawness. I took that nigga over there and I like, shit, I expected DeMarco to whip. We was betting. You know, and like I said, Prentice had a little more. But, you know, Prentice got him that day. But I used to make, now Prentice was the standard because, like I said, and he was older. DeMarco don't know this. Prentice is older, you know that, right? By a few years, not 1 or 2. Shit, I think that nigga was 15 in kindergarten. But he was. But I remember Prentice was an outstanding basketball player, and they come out of DeMarco's mouth. So I used to make DeMarco play him again. This is my tactics: play him 1-on-1, right? Mm-hmm. And DeMarco would whoop him 1-on-1. But I was doing that to say, man, you better than this dude. But DeMarco, he'll bring up the Prentice right now. He'll bring up the Prentice had the more confidence. So I was trying to do all this, put confidence in my son. You got people, but then I wouldn't have him here. If everybody would have left us alone, DeMarco wouldn't have known he was getting abused. He would have had no idea. People was telling him. His grandmother tell him. My, female friends they'll tell him. I remember somebody told Kitty Wilson told me at the Y that when he grow up, that we gonna have if y'all know us, man, we have a great relationship. Now, don't get it twisted. He has, when I came home from prison, he said his piece to me a couple of times, and I was like, man, Nick, we got to fight shit, because I can't. My thing was this, and said it to him then. I apologize for how you felt, but I do not apologize for how I raised my son. I would not change it because I'm proud of who he is today. Now, I don't think he would be this person without that. I use a recipe. This tastes good because all the ingredients I put in it. Remove any one of those ingredients. Say it. Ingredients. Remove any one of those ingredients.
The only thing is,
and he's not him.
I have to battle a quick temper. You know what I mean? That's what
Right.
you had. A firecracker temper. So I am trying to. I battle that as an
Right.
adult.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With people close people to me. You know what I'm saying? Because I was close to you. Right.
Yeah.
So I battle that quick temper with close people. I don't give a fuck enough about people outside of my circles or world, but close people to me feels my quick temper. Right. And I don't like it because I genuinely don't be meaning
Right.
to be how I be sometimes with those people that's close to me that I love or care about. So, it's a nice recipe. I think I'm a pretty decent, solid cat. However, there are flaws in it. You know what I'm saying? There are definitely flaws, which I'm battling. I don't want my son. I'm like, okay, if I can make him a technician in this area, and then make him this, and I mean,